Pleasant good afternoon, everybody. While we'll be having some musical entertainment, I don't think that this is a space for us to be able to just enjoy music without learning something about culture. But why is that? Because this is a SHE4 conference. And who transcends culture through generation? Women. Because if you want anything from culture to survive, teach it to the women. They will pass it on to the children. So when you think about culture, you think about foundation setting. Who sets foundation for culture? Our mothers. The foundation of every culture, every society, and every family depends on our mothers. Okay? But before we begin, let's invite our ancestors to be a part of the gathering. Let's invite each other to be a part of this gathering. A gathering of sharing. The strength of women. Where does the strength of women lie? Anybody know? The strength of women lies in spirit, in partnership, in union. When women come together, nothing can break that bond. As a matter of fact, when there is more sisterhood among women than there is brotherhood among men, we have a foundation for a great society. They're coming. They're here. Who are coming? Our ancestors. From whom we got our legacy. What's our legacy? Our culture, our values, who it is that we are as men and women in partnership. They're here. He hapurgayon hara. He hapurgayon hara. Yelo basunu bobi maraga. Ibare quem bobi maraga buye wa. Hapurgayon hara. Yelo basunu bobi maraga, bimaraga, bimaraga. Ibare quem bobi maraga buye wa. Hapurgayon hara. I want to ask you guys to stand up. I want you to be able to invite each other to be a part of this gathering. But most importantly, to invite our ancestors from who we have learned so much, from whom we've gotten our culture, who it is that we are as women. There would be no SHE4 if there were no they for they. And there will be no them for them without SHE4. Because women transcend culture through generations. Women determines what from the past will be taken into the future. you guys to sit down. I want to thank you for inviting me here today. But not just to play music, because eventually we hear music, and what happens afterwards? Goes by. But there's certain essence about who it is that we are as men, as women, but as people. That is much more than what we hear. There's much more in what we take away than in what we hear. With that said, I want to play a song of serenading so that we feel a little bit calm. It doesn't feel more like a lecture, but more like a place where we come to share who it is that we are with each other. Not Garifuna, not Hispanic, not Creole, not Maya, but as women. It's our essence of life. Which is that we are as people. And the value of that big word, WOMAN, within our society, within our culture, within our family. Who it is that we are. Who am I? Many times we ask people, we ask ourselves, who it is that we are. And as it relates to culture, I am who you are. You are who I am. Because you are a reflection of me. Because I am a reflection of you. Everything that affects me directly affects you indirectly. Everything that affects you directly affects me indirectly. And these are the values of our women. In the Garifuna culture, anybody know anything about Dugu? Anybody heard the word Dugu? Dugu. A Dugu honey. So our Garifuna ritual. Okay? In the Garifuna ritual, because it sets foundation for our culture, there are no primeros because it does not set foundation. Our men does not set foundation for our culture, our families, nor our societies. Our Dugu ritual sets foundation for our spirituality, so only segundas are played. And there are 3 segundas. One represents past life, the center represents present life, and the other drum represents future life. Together, they represent one cycle of life. Who it is that we are as people. Your takeaway, whatever is being expressed right now, is based on what was. And what we want it to be. Okay? Like I said, we were going to do a nice little paranda. And I want to do something that everybody is familiar with so that you feel a little bit free. Does anybody know banda? Nate nugunya mermo yatina wawe ay balabadanaro launuragule balabadanaro launuragule. I don't want you all to be shy, because we're going to close off this session with Weyo Larigi Weyo, and I'll be asking you guys to sing. Balabadanaro. If the mayor is singing, then. Brother Ludwig, let me hear you. Balabadanaro, laonuragule. Paul Nabor is saying that when he dies, he'll be buried with a band. Ayan ang yatin na. Haman na muleno. I spoke with my brothers. Ayan ang yatin na. Hadanani go. Spoken with my peers. Temele, yeno we wawa. Laubala, banda, habonana. When I die, I'm going to be buried with the thing that I love, like music. I would not be surprised that when it's time for Kaya to go, there are going to be bicycles behind her. When my time comes, if you don't bring the drums, guess what's going to happen? Well, I've already demanded what I want for my time, right? Lo bala. Paul Nabor is saying, when it's his time, lo bala banda habonana. I want you guys to be able to take this time, this little moment, this conference, this opportunity. This is really an opportunity. Not everybody has the opportunity to be here. It's a privilege to be here. And everybody has to look at it as, man, she for she. But in she for she, what has to be expressed is we for we. We're each other's keeper. That's what it means to be Garifuna. That's what it means to be people. That's the foundation of culture. It's the foundation of the black culture, especially. Okay? But before I go, I want us to do one last song. And I want you guys to get up. Stand up, everybody. And I want you to repeat after me. Can you all say, where you? Where you? Larigi? Where you? Where you? Larigi? Where you? I want you to hear it. Where you, Larigi? Where you? Where you, Larigi? Where you? And where you, Larigi? Where you means day by day. So when I say, Ubagara baliwawago, you'll say, where you, Larigi? Where you? Rupadere buguwone. Fegekada beti ya wago. Duragada bati ya wao. So I'm going to play the verse. I don't have much time, but I'm going to play the verse. And when the chorus comes, it's going to call and respond. baliwawago means to blow your holy breeze on us, and you say, where you lari way day by day. So this is a prayer turned into a song, and it was done by Andy Palazzo. Okay? Waguchibungyo agambabay wamalali. Our Father God, listen to our voices. Wati wabuwa with the bawa. We call on you, help us. Ari habahawag bisan, go look upon your children. Uguchili, dear Lord. Give it to Megate. There's a lot that has been going on. For this we pray to you. To blow your holy breeze on us, and you say, where you lari away you, day by day. To give us strength, and you say, where you lari away you, day by day. To open our eyes, and you say, where you lari away you, day by day. To give us wisdom, and you say, where you lari away you, day by day.
This thing, okay. Another round of applause. Moving on, we will be hearing stories. How many of you enjoy listening to stories out here? I believe that inspirational stories is enormous in our life, as we all need a motivational force to keep our hopes alive and increase our productivity. With that said, I would like to call Counselor Mary Palacio. Counselor Mary Palacio is from Punta Gorda Town. She is tasked with the portfolio of Women Affairs, Market and Tongue Beautification. So as not to share more than I should, I invite her to come now to share with us her story. Please join me in welcoming Counselor Palacio to the podium to share her story.
Good afternoon again, one and all. The protocol has already been established. I'm here, sure that everyone here is appreciating today and benefiting from the activities and information shared thus far. I am not a public speaker. I was a audience today, but motivation and from colleagues and from the presentation share, they have encouraged me to stand here in front of you and share my story. I am Councillor Mary Palacio. I'm a proud product of the beautiful and peaceful town of Piney, Punta Gorda, a place where I have spent most of my life, except when time for work would take me away. When I was born in a traditional family setting, where the rule of male and female and different because of genders, being male and female, brother and sister. No? As an infant, I was encouraged to go to school, but mainly I was expected to find a husband so that I can have children and settle down. My role was to take care of my household. I did that. I have a total of 4 children who I love dearly. But then I found myself being a single parent. The support from the father of my children was there, but that was not enough to take care of us. I seek employment. I was at home one day and they said, you know what? One of my friends came and she said that they were going to enlist volunteer soldiers in Punta Gorda town, which would have been the first intake of female. I was a bit scared and hesitant, but I said, you know what, I'll give it a try. I needed a job. I was so desperate. My mom had already passed away, so I was like, you know what, without not an education background, I said, you know what, I have to jump on this opportunity, which I did. So I was, out of 3 of us, I was the only one who remained in the force, in volunteer in Punta Gorda. So I was there for about 4 years. Within that time, about the 5th or 6th year, I did courses with the regular force, meaning the regular element of the Belize Defense Force. I was then asked if I wanted to go across to the regular force. It was a hard decision to make. It would have meant leaving my kids behind, so I had to find a full-time babysitter. Well, you know, man done gone, no? But I said I have to push on. I have to do it. I have to be strong. I prayed about it. I talked to my ancestors because I'm a cultural woman. I said, you know what, I'll give it a try because I can do 3 years, and if I don't like it, I can come back to volunteer. So I said, you know what, I'll push it through. I then went across to the regular force, and I went up the rank in the regular force. I ended up becoming a staff sergeant. I also did 22 years in the regular force. So I did a total of about 27 years in the force. It was a challenge, but I pulled through. On retirement, I said, well, I have to make a decision again because for graduation and etc. I couldn't have been home for my kids when they graduated because I had older kids. On my retirement, I had a daughter in standard 4. So when I said, continue work and stay in Belize or go home to Punta Gorda, I said, you know what, my kids need me. So I took the decision and I went home. Employment in Punta Gorda is very hard. It's a small community. It's a small town, but job there, it doesn't come along easy. So I went to school and I would spend time with my daughter. So I said, you know what? They were about to open a feeding program for the kids. So I told the principal, you know what, I'll volunteer my time. So I did the feeding, I had the feeding program at St. Peter Claver School. I was in a group that was the ex-servicemen league group. I ended up becoming the president of the ex-servicemen league group and the vice secretary for the national league. So I work with ex-soldiers, teachers, and police officers who had already retired and was at home in Punta Gorda town. I also, in the summertime, I would work with Battle of the Drums because they had what they did. I would teach how to cook different Garifuna dishes. I am also at present, I'm in the choir which we call the Gayusa, is the choir that sings at temple and ceremonies that take place in our temple, and I enjoyed it. So I work with a wide variety. I work with my community, and I share a lot. But I work with kids, elderlies, and women and men. So I then now go into my political career, right? Okay. When my political career started, I was asked first to run up for town council election fact, I've already worked with a lot of different organizations. So I say, for me to give more, I have seen a lot of single parents, a lot of mother like myself who were single and didn't have anything to do. I can help, but I say if I go into the town council, maybe I can touch into some avenue that I can assist other women, meaning single mothers, meaning we have in Punta Gorda, it's a small town, there ain't much job. In Punta Gorda, there are a lot of people with disability, they have elderlies. It's very hard, and our revenue collection down here is very small. So I ran up for election, and I lost, unfortunately, but it was an experience for me. When election came again in 2019, I didn't run up. I said, you know what, I'll give it a break. But I was happy for them, and I worked with the team because when I ran up in the first time when I ran up, I was the only female. But in 2019, when I didn't run up, we had 3 females, so I said, you know what, that's a plus. When it comes to 2021 election now, I was like, you know, I'll just assist. I have the experience, I was able to just run the office, deal with the campaigners. Then the day before the closing of the application, I got a call from the mayor, and he said, Ms. Plaza, you know what? We only have 1 mayoral candidate, you know, with a female. For councillors, we don't have no female. I was like, you serious? He was like, yes. I said, okay. So I said, I have to think about it. So the next morning, I called one of my girlfriends. I said, you know what? I start to share around with females so I will know they're interested. And she told me, the only way I'll run up if you take part, then I'll take part. I said, I don't have a choice. So we put in our application. When we put in our application, we had, for mayoral candidate, we have 4, 1 female and 3 male. For female now, we have both of us, and 13 males for councillors. So now we have to go into a vote. When we went into a vote, the mayoral female candidate lost, and also the other female candidate lost, so I lined up again alone. I thought about it. I said, you know what? May, this is a blessing. You take the blow by the heart, and you just do what you got to do if you want to do betterment for your town and your community. Which I did. I took it by the horn. I have already had experience working with male, because the male nominating community, and most of the time, our whole country, I think, in the world, I would say, if you don't stand up for what you want, then you'll fall for nothing. I sit there, we went to the election, we won. Among the councillor candidate, I got the highest vote. Right. I got the portfolio of beautification of the town, women affairs. I do demo, and we join. Well, you know, the town council is a team. A team is unity, and unity is strength. If you're not united, then you'll fall for nothing. So the only thing my experience that I'd like to share is this motion thing we will do. Whenever we have anything in the town council, we say, okay, we pass for a motion. And most of the time, once 4 have already passed it, it doesn't even, if you vote, it's just like, but when they vote, any motion they pass, I'll make sure I'll be a part of that motion. It can be their decision, but I'll make sure I'm at the front with them. Because if I don't get in it, then I'll be losing, and I don't want that. I want betterment for my town, betterment for my female, betterment for all the youths and all the people who are suffering. I want the single mothers. It's hurt. And again, I want women to start to step up to the plate, because when you alone are in a council among lone men, they think they can walk over us, but we have to stand our ground and stay firm and support each other. We have to learn to stop bringing down women like ourselves. That is what is taking us. Sometimes we go forward, we go back for the same reason. Make us start to big up each other, make us start to support each other and lift each other, because that is the way forward. That way God wants we do. That way ancestors want we do. They first, we behind. All right? Well, that's my story. And God bless.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mary Palacio. Beautiful, beautiful. Next up, we have Miss Katrina Swayze. Where is Miss Katrina? Let's give her a round of applause, everyone, as she makes her way at the front. Miss Katrina is the CEO of Everything with Love Catering and Reconstructed Bridges. She is a work-focused forgiveness coach, teacher, speaker, mentor, and chef. Katrina has made it her personal mission to bring awareness to the obstacles that often plague minority women. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Miss Katrina Swayze as she comes to share her story.
Good afternoon. Lots of beautiful faces and cultures represented in this room today. Thank you, first and foremost, Mayor Palacios, for having me. I traveled from Houston, Texas to be here today, so I'm very excited and very, very grateful. So I'm going to talk to you all today a little bit about going from being broken to productive. Now, I would like to invite you guys to do just a quick little activity. With where you are right now here today in your lives, take a moment to think if you can pick one word to describe the current status of your life. Overall, home, work, play, whatever. If you can think of one word to describe that, what would that word be? Right? This is a question that I ask myself. So a little bit of background. I was born in the States. First of my siblings to be born in the States. My parents, my grandparents, my aunties, my uncles, my entire family is from Belize. My grandparents are from PG. And so my parents migrated over to the States in the late 70s, had myself and a younger sister, so my parents had 7 children together. And so we grew up in LA, Los Angeles, California, in a time where it was gang infested, lots of drugs, lots of just craziness going on. But my parents, coming from another country, did the best they could with what they had. And so the kids followed suit. We all did the best we could with what we had. Where my mother, who ended up becoming a successful entrepreneur in Los Angeles, and then her and my dad, they parted ways later on. And so that left us with, my mother becoming a single mother, and my 5 older siblings were already gone and out of the house, so that left me and my younger sister. So all we know is a successful, strong, resilient woman. That was our mother. And so moving along, I went through school, tried a little bit of college. I didn't feel like it was a good fit for me. Then my life changed. I met someone amazing, and we had 2 children together. I was 20 when I had 2 children, not aware of what life had in store for me. And from that time on, I was with someone amazing, and we spent our lives together building businesses around the city of Los Angeles, mostly him. Then I took time off from everything, and I started to focus on parenting our children. So something that I'm very, very passionate about, and I'll circle back around to this, is the power of intentional parenting as mothers and as parents, right? Then, unfortunately, life happened and things went on and transpired. And in 2018, I made a very difficult decision that would change the course of my life. I had some healing from some things that I had gone through in my childhood that I had to do. And unfortunately, the love of my life at the time and the father of my children did not continue on that journey with me. I say this about when you decide to embark on a journey to heal and do your meaningful work with yourselves. When you decide that you want to go ahead and go deeper into your healing, 2 things will happen with the people around you and with the relationships that you have. You will either choose to heal and grow together, or if one person decided to heal and grow, it will pull you guys apart. And unfortunately for us, that's what happened. So in 2018, I made a very difficult decision to walk away from the man that I had spent 18 and a half years of my life with, and we birthed 2 beautiful children, and we had built a life. With that, I said, well, I'm going to start over in a new place. So I moved to Houston, Texas. Afraid, fearful, nothing, no resources or anything, I left. I packed up my kids, and we headed on down to Texas, and so that's what we did. Now, I've always been a girl's girl. I've always been my sister's keeper, right? We say I am my sister's keeper, but we are our sister. I've always been very passionate about uplifting women and pouring into women and speaking and sharing just about my life and my journey, right? So in 2018, after that move, I said, okay, well, I have to eat. I got to feed these kids. My daughter's in her senior year. She got to go to college. And so I said, well, what if I look into becoming a life coach, a certified life coach. So I found this amazing program that would circle back around. So in that season, in that little break, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do to put some food on the table to feed me and my children. And I found myself working in construction. Now, anyone that knows me knows that I'm a girly girl. I love pink. I love nail polish. Construction was very, very different. I was in the office, but I was in a trailer. I had to wear steel-toe boots and mud and dirt, and that's what it was. But I said, hey, whatever I have to do. It was a very male-dominated industry. I was subjected to a lot, working amongst so many men as a woman, and I had the nerve to have a couple little curves on me, so that really subjected me to a whole lot. I found that it started to chip away at who I was, and I quickly identified that I was not amongst my people. And what I mean by that, I'm always constantly seeking to grow, how to heal, how to do better, how to become more. And out there, everyone just kind of had a one-track mind. We're going to come to work. We're going to work 12 hours a day. We're going to go home. We're going to get our check at the end of the week, and that's what it was. It wasn't enough for me. So one day I was sitting at my desk, and I was really, really frustrated. I felt defeated. I had just had an altercation with someone at work, and I was crying. And I put my head down, and I felt someone open the door because I felt the warmth of the sun. So I went outside. I said, let me hit my reset button, stand in the sun for a little bit. So that's what I did. I closed my eyes, and I had this vision for an organization that I would establish. And the focus of this organization would be to uplift, empower, and encourage women and to support them and to provide them resources where I could. That was the birth, or the seed, the mustard seed planted for the establishment of what I, almost a year later, established as Reconstructed Bridges. Reconstructed Bridges is my organization. I am a forgiveness-focused life coach. What the heck is a forgiveness-focused life coach, right? So my goal is to help women identify their path to healing through unlocking the power of forgiveness. We've all had altercations in different situations and things that has transpired with people in our lives, and a lot of times we hold on to those things and they make us bitter. They make us angry. And I had a life-changing situation transpire with a family member that I had not spoken to in over 20-something years. And so during my healing, I said, well, maybe it might be time to have this conversation. And God confirmed it because he aligned the stars. And I ended up having a difficult conversation with a family member that changed everything. And through that, I had never experienced the freedom that I had experienced through forgiving, through my healing journey. And so from then on, I said, okay, the pandemic hit in 2020, and I'm like, well, what am I going to do now? I got laid off from this construction job. I didn't know if it was a blessing or a curse that I got laid off. And so I was grateful. So at that time, I discovered a program that I wanted to obtain my certification to become a life coach through. And I did, and I learned all these amazing tools and skills and modalities that would help enhance my toolkit so that I can bring forth in my work with women. And so during that time, I didn't realize that I had more healing work to do. So I did. I became a certified breathwork facilitator. There's power in the gifts and the tools that you have to get you from one difficult situation to the next. I do a lot through deep breathing. I was young when I had my children, but I didn't know at the time the power that I would possess in breathing my way through labor and delivery. And so that, becoming a breathwork facilitator was very, very important to me. And it gave me another skill set, again, to help women just work through difficult seasons of their lives. So from there, in 2021, I found myself, so culturally, I've always been in the kitchen with my mother, my grandmother, my great-grandmother, watching them cook all these amazing Belizean dishes, right? And so for my generation, I'm the one who grabbed the skill set from them. And so I found that I would always hear, oh, you can cook, and I would do Christmas and Thanksgiving and all these holidays, and I would feed everyone. And so I unintentionally, in 2021, launched an on-set catering company. My daughter, who's in film school, she was working on a set of a film, and they needed someone to prepare food for 70 people twice a day. And I have a little altar in my kitchen where I hang pictures of my great-grandmother, Monica Williams, my grandmother, Eunice Austin, and my father, who they've all transitioned. And so before any events or cooking or anything, I go and I light my candle, and I talk to them, and I say, give me, I don't know if there's any recipes or anything that you want to whisper or send to me in a dream, but if you have, I will take them, and I've done so. So I unintentionally launched a successful on-set catering company, so I feed people on the sets of commercials and films as well. But my purposeful, meaningful work is in coaching. So with that, I have 5 steps that I want to leave you all with today. And these are action steps to take towards focusing on going from being broken to being productive. 1, and this was a big one for me, identify the relationships in your life that might be holding you back. And it's not always a romantic relationship. Sometimes it's a relationship with family members, with friends. Also keeping that forgiveness piece important, right? Because sometimes we hear forgiveness and we think we have to be back in relationship with someone, and that's not always the case. Forgiveness is for yourself and to be in obedience, right? 2, identify what your fears are and how they are keeping you from being productive. I was crippled by the fear that I had around needing to feel protected and safe. That's why things were getting so crazy out in the construction field, because I'm a woman and I felt like no one was defending and protecting, right? But identify that, because it was those very experiences that helped me plant my feet on solid ground and say, you know what? I'm a woman, but I'm here too, and I'm here to do this work just like you all. And I did. 3, set a realistic goal on what you can do to start conquering your fears when they show up, and do it, right? For me, I have something that I call opposite action. So let's say I'm standing up here and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to speak, I don't want to speak. My opposite action says, go up to that podium and speak. And that's something very doable that you can do at any given moment, be it a fear around anything. Whatever it is that you're in bondage with fear, do the complete opposite of that. 4, do not spend your time focusing on what can go wrong. What you focus on grows. So guard your thoughts in the exact same manner that you would guard your most prized possession. Be mindful of the things that you think, and be mindful of the things that you say, for life and death are in the power of your tongue. Last but not least, number 5, and there's a couple little bullet points to number 5. Adopt healthy self-care habits, right? For me, I'm a deeply spiritual woman, and I am a believer. So I start my day with praise and worship. I listen to my music, and every day with prayer and meditation. It's the first thing that I do every morning when I open my eyes. Daily affirmations have been successful in helping me, and I sometimes call it mirror work. I take my bright red lipstick or my pink, and I write love notes to myself on my mirror in my bathroom. And I stand in front of my mirror, and I say those things to myself every day. Journaling. I don't know if you like to journal or write. We have all these fancy phones now. We can do a voice note, but write it down. Write down, journal. Get out however you're feeling. I like to call it a brain dump sometimes. If your mind is feeling overwhelmed or overworked, just write it all down. You don't ever have to read it. You can ball it up, burn it, save it, whatever you want to do, but just get it out to keep things clear. Last but not least, celebrate your wins and your accomplishments, right? A lot of times as women in business, or we're working or building a business or being a mom, we're focusing on what we got to do next. What's the next thing? What do we got to do next, right? Without even acknowledging the fact that, I don't know if you have 3 kids, you got 3 kids up this morning, you cooked breakfast, you got everybody dressed, you got everybody to school on time, and then you went to work. That's a win for the day. That's a win. So for every win that you have, you want to make sure that you take the time to acknowledge it before you get preoccupied with the next best thing. Okay? So my name is Katrina. Thank you so very much for taking time to listen to me today.
Thank you, Ms. Katrina. Next, I would like to call Honorable Senator Elena Smith. There she is. Senator Elena Smith is the national president of the Belize National Teachers Union. She has served the union at the executive level for over 20 years. She is a fearless activist who led teachers in several protests to stand up for public officers. Senator Smith received the recognition of Ordinary Member of the British Empire. I now invite Senator Smith to share her story.
Good afternoon. Permission to adopt protocols. You know, it's quite a coincidence this afternoon that the two speakers before me hail from the Toledo district. And guess what? I am from the Toledo district. So I'm sure the organizers did not realize that they were putting 3 persons from PG at this time today. But God knows best, and things happen for a reason. So I'm not sure that my story is going to be an exciting one. It may be as boring as I am. It may be as little as I am. But it may be as brave as I am. And so I trust that my story will touch a few of you and will inspire a few of you to know that you are worthy, you have power, and you can do whatever it is that you set your mind to do. Now, as I said, I was born in the Toledo district, and I was not one of the children who 2 persons would have made out of love. You meet and you say, I love you and I want to have a child with you. I was made out of an unfortunate situation. My mother was raped. And I think she was 15, just about 16, when she got pregnant with me. At that time, for most of you who may be her age, you would know that those are things that we didn't speak about. Those were shame on the family. And so you never said those things. It makes it even worse if that happens or that is done by a family member. You cover it more. And so I grew up with my grandmother. I was her first grandchild. I wasn't spoiled, though. I was quite a tomboy growing up. I had to do chores just like every other child. But I grew up not knowing who my father was. And I grew up not seeing much of my mother because I think due to the shame that she had experienced, she probably didn't want to be around for people in the community to be looking at her and, saying things about her. So my grandmother raised me. She did her very best to ensure that she provided for all of us. She had her other children, and then my cousins, my uncle's children, she was also raising them as well. And so there were a few mouths to feed. But my grandmother toiled. We went to the farm, we planted. We had to plant rice, corn, these things every day before going to school. We had to reap when it was time. I had to beat 10 pounds of rice every weekend because that would be what would sustain us for the week. And so we each had our turn to do those things. Going to high school, I had to walk 3 miles every day to get to school. And so I walked 3 miles from Forest Home to PG, probably about 4, and then that same distance back every day for 4 years. I had to get up at 5 in the morning and be on the road by 6. And by the time I got to school, it was on time to hear the church bell ringing, and I could go to Mass before classes began. And I did that for 4 years. Through it all, I never thought that I was a smart child. I never thought that I was maybe worthy of anything because of the circumstance that I grew up in. However, I ended up at primary school being told that I was not going to go to high school because my parents or my grandmother wouldn't be able to afford. And so I think we all know that Toledo is the poorest district. It's known as a forgotten district. And so you barely get any assistance down there. There's barely anything to do. But I was able, at the time we had to take primary exam, common entrance, and then scholarship. And fortunately, I was able to pass all 3 of them. And so I went to high school on a scholarship. I did my best to ensure that I passed, so I wouldn't lose my scholarship. And I completed fourth form at the age of 15. I graduated on my 16th birthday. That was the best birthday gift anybody could ever get. But despite it was a day of celebration, it was also a sad day, because when I looked around the room, my friends had their family there celebrating with them, and I had no one. But at the time, I didn't think about it. It was just, well, it's my birthday, I'm graduating, so what? Big deal. Anyway, I ended up leaving Toledo, and I came to Belize City because my grandmother wanted me to further my education. Either fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it. I thought that I would take a break from school. I was so young, I was so skinny. My grandmother said, the poor child needs a break. That is why she can't grow, because she's studying too much. Well, I'm 53 now, and I still haven't grown, so that wasn't the reason. Anyway, so while taking the break, my aunt came, and my aunt said, Elena said, there's a space at St. Ignatius School, and we need a teacher. You should apply. I always wanted to be a teacher. That was my dream. I went in, I spoke to the priest, I had the interview, and he said to me, go over to the school and tell the principal I sent you. So I said, good morning. The priest sent me. I'm the new teacher. And I will never forget, the principal said to me, I asked for a teacher, and they sent me a green stick. What will I do with you? And I said to myself, I will prove to you that I am a teacher. I don't want to be a teacher. I am a teacher. A few years later, when I did my internship and the Jamaicans came to assess me, I was given an A. And so when they went to the principal, for a second time, why do you want to see my teacher? Wow, I'm your teacher now. But I figured she thought I had failed. And so that's the reason why they came back, to give me a second chance. And when she was told that it was because I did an excellent language arts lesson and I got an A, she was surprised. I say these things to show that we go through struggles in life, but we don't make those struggles determine who we are, what we do, how far we reach. I joined my union as soon as I became a teacher, and a few years later, I was elected as the branch secretary for the Belize district. That was in the 90s. And from that time, I have served on the executive of our union. It's been some 20-something, maybe 30-something years, I don't know. I forgot. And then I tried to offer myself for national president. I saw my colleague earlier. At the time, I had recently endorsed Zenaida Moya for mayor. And I had done so not because of politics, but because we were colleagues in the union movement. And so I felt that as a union colleague, as a female colleague, I should support my female as well. But that turned around and that kicked me in the butt. And so the teachers felt that I was political. And so they decided not to give me a chance. And I vowed to myself I would not run anymore. I'm going to give up my union work. I'm going to focus on my school. But then I tried again. And I ran against two males. And there were so many things going on at that election. Political interference, teachers were there, they were being paid by the party in government at the time, some of the persons within that system. Teachers were being paid not to vote for me. They were even given monies to go across the border and celebrate. But as I said earlier, God takes care of his own. And when you have a clean heart, and when you are true to what it is that you want to do, you come on top. And I ended up, those two gentlemen, I doubled the votes that they got together. And so I am now serving my third term as national president for the Teachers Union. I am, as far as I can recall, I would be, I think, the third president in our 50-something years of being a union. And so before me, we've had about 3 or 4 male presidents before me. And I think people think that we don't deserve to be in those positions. We have so many women who have shown that that is not so. And then as I think about my journey as a mother, I have 3 boys. I have 1 little grandson. I can recall clearly in 2004, 2005 when we were on strike. It was against the current administration, not the same persons, but some of the same. So it was against the PUP. I had just gotten a C-section. My baby was 1 month old, and we were out in strike. And as a president of the Belize district, of the Belize branch, I had to be leading my people. And so I left my young baby at home with my brother, and he took care of my child for me. He cooked for my other son. I had a son, so 2 of them. And I was able to go out and do my work. I'm holding on to my belly button because, you know, C-section and the pain, but I was out there leading my people because I know that I have a role to play and I must play the role, and I must not use an excuse that as a female, as a mother, I have a child and so I can't do my work. I decided, I chose to lead, and I led my people despite it all. With all of that, as my colleague said earlier, when you are going through all of these things, you don't always have support. And unfortunately, my husband at the time probably could not take my involvement in my union work. And he decided that there were other options. And so then I was left alone to take care of my children and do my work. But I survived. I survived. But there's one thing that I did not share with you, because I don't want to be emotional when I share this portion, but it has to be shared. All my life growing up, as I said before, I didn't know who my father was. But there was an incident that happened when I was about 12 or 13, that I was molested by this person. But I couldn't tell my grandmother because, against the shame of what will happen, and we were told that we must not engage in anything with males. And I recall being in high school and my grandmother said to me, I will know if a boy touches you, because the moment he touches you, you are going to get pregnant. And so I'm sitting by my classroom window looking out to see Clever College at the time. And one of my classmates came innocently, and he stood between myself and my friend, and he put his hand on my shoulder. And I turned around and I gave him 1 slap across the face. Because in my mind, I'm pregnant. So now how do I go home and tell my grandmother that I'm pregnant and I'm in 4th form? What must I do now? And for the next 2, 3, 4 months, I am wondering, will my period come? What will happen now? I'm pregnant. I'm trying to see if my stomach is growing. I'm waiting to see that my uniform can't fit me. And then I realized, but how stupid can you be? You are taking science in school. You are learning biology. You know that's not so. Why are you believing that? So when the incident happened with this person and what I went through, I did not tell a soul. I was only brave enough to mention this matter when I was about 43 years old. It took me my entire life to get to the point where I could have shared that. But what made it worse was that it was the same person who did the same thing to my mother that did the same thing to me. And I vowed to myself, I said, when we go through these things, we do two things. We either become what happens to us, or we make a difference. And I keep telling my colleagues, I could have been what we call a street girl, a hoe, because of my experiences. But I knew that I had to be something better, to say thank you to my grandmother for all that she did for me while I was growing up. And I took that and I used that. And as I said before, I never saw myself, I still don't see myself as a smart person, as an intelligent person. My teachers have said that, but I haven't seen that. And I told myself, excuse my language, you either be an ass or you be somebody that has sense. And I chose to be that person with sense. I finished my high school, I did my teacher training, I did my bachelor's degree, and then I ended up doing my master's degree. And all my work that I have done in my teaching career over the last 37 years, all my work in the union movement that I have done, were never done for me to receive any praise or to receive any awards. But throughout my lifetime, I have been blessed that several persons, several groups have recognized me for my work. And that is simply proof to me that when you do good, good follows you. And so for me as a woman, having experienced all of those things, having reached to where I am, not just by my strength, but by the strength of others who would have supported me, who would have encouraged me, other women whom I saw, maybe not being in my same position, but seeing that we can make a change, it helped me to be able to be strong. And as my former presenter said, I learned to forgive. And if I had not done that, I would not be able to stand here today and share my story. So while my story for the past 53 years has been filled with a lot of troubles, if you may want to call it that way, I can surely say that I am at a point in my life where I have learned to forgive. I have learned to stand up for myself. And so when you people see me out there challenging the government, it's not just for me, but it's to ensure that all the girls coming behind me and all the women beside me would be treated differently and will understand that as women, we have the power to make whatever change we want to make. But we must stand together. And I know that when we are going through these things, there are other women who bring us down. Instead of supporting us, they tear us down. From today forward, ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you that when you see a woman, remember my story, because you have no idea what that woman would have endured, and yet she stands. I thank you for this opportunity, and I wish you all the best in the remainder of your conference. May God bless you all.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Miss Shiona Cashel. Let's give her a round of applause. Shiona is an entrepreneur, philanthropist, a motivational speaker, and a brand strategist. Let's give her a warm welcome as she makes her way to the podium.
Greetings to all protocols observed. My name is Shoana Cashel. It is truly a blessing to be up here and to share the floor with such amazing women. Your story, each of your stories resonates with me because you share things that have happened to me. And so I didn't expect to be moved like this. I'm just gonna let that. Are we okay? Are we all right? Okay. So thank you for sharing your stories. You know, it's funny because someone had told me one time, they were like, how are you able to be so vulnerable to people? And I said, if it can help one person and make a difference in one person's life, then I've done my job. So thank you for your stories. And it's also amazing how one conversation at breakfast, a powerful conversation with Mayor Palacio, has changed the trajectory of this trip today for me. So I hadn't planned to be up here, but I thank you. My SHE4 I'm also grateful for, who is Her Excellency, Chief Dr. Jewel Howard Taylor. I am so grateful for you. I have the privilege of running her media. I'm her media consultant, or my team does that as well. So I'm grateful for that opportunity that you've given me to share the floor with you. So we had breakfast 2 days ago, and it was interesting because the mayor shared a story with me. She had read a book written by former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who's the first female president in all of Africa. I think it was mentioned earlier by the vice president. And she said after reading her memoir, she was so inspired. She was moved, and she wanted to meet her. She said there's something that's burning in her, and she has to meet this woman. And I smiled, and I shared with her 3 letters: the letter A, the letter S, and the letter K. What did I share with her? Ask. I said, all you have to do is ask. And then I asked her, I said, do you believe in manifesting what you want? And she said, absolutely, yes, I do. I said, because if we ask for something and we believe that we're going to get it, it's going to happen, right? It's no secret. It's in the Bible. Matthew 7, verse 7 says, ask and it shall be given to you. Seek and ye will find. Knock and the door will be open. Right? All right, so let me share my story. And I shared this story with her after she told me that she wanted to meet the former president. So back in 1990, there was a civil war that devastated my country, Liberia. My family was fortunate enough to relocate to the U.S. Although we were in the U.S. surviving, my heart was still in Liberia. For 14 years, I prayed every day for that war to end so that I could go back home. My mother calls me her African child. She said, you belong in Africa, just you belong there. Sure enough, the war ended in 2004. I started planning my trip back home. I just wanted to make sure. So it took me about a year to get back to Liberia. And I went back to Liberia in 2005. Right at the time when I went back, President Sirleaf was elected. So she was president-elect at the time. So I planned my trip around that. I'm like, the first female president in all of Africa, what would I do if I met her? I would love to meet her. So in my dreams, she would be walking down the street, and I would just so happen to be there, and then I would get to see her. This is me, right? So I planned my trip around the time after she had gotten elected in hopes that maybe I would see her in passing. So when I got there, I was there for a 2-week trip, and I call it my exploratory trip. I wanted to see how I could give back. I feel like all of those who had the opportunity to leave during the war, it was our obligation to go back and rebuild. Who else would if we didn't? So I went back to see what I could do. At the time, I owned a photography and design firm, and so I knew how to take pictures. So I was like, well, maybe if I do like a coffee table book, people would get to see what Liberia looks like, and they'd be able to give back. But as I would drive and take pictures, every time I drove by this particular place on the boulevard, the taxi drivers would always say, "That's where our president lives. That's where our president lives." So 2 days, well, clearly I didn't get to see her in passing. So 2 days before I was to leave Liberia, I had a dream. And this scripture just kept on saying, "Ask and it shall be given unto you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door shall be open." And it just, it was burning a fire in me. And I couldn't understand why. So one day, as we were driving by the compound, "Ask and it shall be given to you." So I say to the driver, "Excuse me, can you stop right here at the compound?" That was my ask. And he stopped. And I said, "Awesome." So I get down, and there are lots of fences within her compound. So I walk through there, and then, of course, seek, and ye shall find. So I seek out a gate that I believe is her gate, and I walk up to it. And guess what I did next, y'all? Knock, and the door will be open. At this point, everything's been working, right? So I'm excited about this. So I get to the door, and I'm like, okay, as soon as I knock, I get to go in because everything's been working. So I get to the door, and I go, and I start knocking. I'm looking at my own hand like, "What you doing, girl?" So I knock on this door, and sure enough, it opened. Right when I was about to step in, 2 soldiers come out with AK-47s, and I'm like, whoa, this did not happen in the scripture. So they come out and ask me in Liberian English, "What do you want?" Translation, "What do you want?" So I said, I hadn't thought that far. But I said, "I am here to see President-elect Ellen Johnson Sirleaf." And the guy looks at me, and he said, "Are you press?" And I looked down, and I realized he was looking at my camera hanging on my shoulder. And I said, "Why, yes, I'm press." And he said, "What company are you with?" "My name is Shawana Cashel. My company is Cashel International." And that's actually how my company got its name today. Cashel International. And they said, "Okay, come in." And they sat me down, and they ushered me up to go and see her. And as I'm sitting in the waiting room, I'm like, I'm pressed. I don't have questions. I haven't thought this far. All I want to do is see her. I said, you know what? If I go in there and I see her and I smile and I freeze, it's all good because I've seen her. Everything else doesn't matter. So they ushered me into the room, and I saw her, and exactly what I thought would happen happened. I froze, and I smiled, and she's like, "Hi," and I'm like, "Hello." And she said, "What can I do for you?" And I remembered my mom telling me that back in 1980, she had worked with her. And so I said to her, I said, "My name is Shawana. My mother used to work with you back in 1980. And she said, "Who's your mother?" And I said, "Sandy." "I know Sandy." And I'm like, yes, I'm in there. So then, of course, she comes back to the question, "Okay, so what can I do for you?" Y'all, I really had not thought about what I was going to do. So the first thing that came to my mind was me being 100% honest. I said, "Madam, I've seen a lot of your pictures, online, and I've seen your pictures, but they're not very flattering. And I'm a photographer, and I want to make sure you look as beautiful as you look." She looked at me. I wonder if she was thinking, is that a compliment? Or is that an insult? And when I said it, I was like, why did I say that? And then she said, "How much is it going to cost?" And I said, "It's my gift. I would be honored." Like, she did not even know what had been happening before, and like I could not even charge this woman. So I said, it's my gift. She looked at her schedule and she said, how about, she said, when do you want to do it? I said, I leave in 2 days, so can we do it tomorrow? And she said, okay. Looked at her schedule. 1 o'clock work? I said, 1 o'clock works. I said, oh, ma'am, I'm also a makeup artist. Do you mind if I do your makeup? Because I noticed she doesn't wear any makeup. And she said, I don't like makeup. I said, just a little bit. I specialize in natural makeovers, just enhancing the natural beauty. I convinced her. She said, okay. So I go home. I could not sleep that night. The next day, I was there an hour early, 12 o'clock. I walked in. Here I go again. Knock on the gate. Got in there. They opened the door. I'm like, this is working. And the scripture keeps going. And I sit down, and her receptionist walks up to me and says, I don't think today is a good day. She's very busy, so she's not going to be able to see you. And I said, God did not bring me this far to turn me back around. I said, I'll sit. She looked at me. She said, you're going to be waiting for a long time. It's okay. I got 2 days. So I sat down. And then I noticed throughout, as the time was going, she would walk from behind the wall where the offices were and pass me by and come back in and pass me by. And she never looked at me. She didn't say anything. At one point, I was like, excuse me. She's like, she's busy still. And she kept on going. So I looked at the time. It passed 1 o'clock, 1:30, 2 o'clock. This woman comes out of the office and goes. I said, okay, Lord, here we go. This time it wasn't in the same order. Seek, and ye shall find. I went behind the wall. That door might be her door. Knock, and the door shall be open. Knock, knock, knock. Come in. It was her voice, y'all. So I opened the door, and I walked in. Ask, and it shall be given to you. Are you ready for your photo shoot? She wasn't very happy. She looked down at her time and looked up at me and said, you're late. I said, madam, I was here an hour early. I've been sitting outside for 2 hours. I promise you I wasn't late. Right in that time, a secretary walks in. She said, yeah, madam, you were very busy, so I just had her wait. She said, excuse me? She said, you told her to wait, and you never told me? She gave it to her. Y'all, I was scared when she said, okay, go take her upstairs and set her up. I was like, I'm going out with her? She's about to tear me up. So by the time we got out of her office and the door closed, I'm like, I'm so sorry. She's like, sorry for what? Nothing. Make a long story short, I had an opportunity to take her picture. I delivered the picture that night to her, edited, and gave it to her. The night when I walked in, she was sitting at the dining room table with her family. And she said, come on in, have a seat. I'm like, with the family? I was like, this is good. Imagine that ass has me at the dining room table with her family. So I sat down and I delivered the pictures. She pulled out the picture, passed it around the table, and I'm sitting there like, oh my gosh, sweating bullets. Is she going to like it? All of a sudden, she gets up and walks away from the table. And I was like, she didn't like it. But everybody else at the table were like raving about it. She comes back, and she puts money in my hand. And I said, I don't want it. And she said, do you know it's rude to not accept a tip? So I took the money, and I put it in my pocket. And she said, thank you. I love it. And I was like, you're so welcome. Man, I was riding high on that plane back to Philadelphia. 2 weeks later, guess what? Her people called my people. I had people. They called my people, and they said, she wants you to shoot the inauguration with your team. Can you be in Liberia in 2 weeks? That knock got me and 4 of my photographers to Liberia to shoot the inauguration. Y'all, it didn't stop there. Guess what? She asked me to relocate to Liberia so that I could be her personal photographer. So, not only did I get to take one picture or one professional headshot, but I took several, probably all the headshots you see. Guess what? Your girl took them. All right? So, had I not knocked on that door that day, I would not have the privilege to say that I am the first female photographer for the first female president in all of Africa. I would not have the honor or privilege to say that I had an opportunity to meet Oprah Winfrey by her side, or to stand in the Oval Office and take pictures of presidents in the White House, or to be the only black or woman, but black woman on the floor in Norway when she received the Nobel Peace Prize. That knock opened the doors to a career that it's every day I'm just thanking God for. That knock did that. So I'm here to tell you today, women like former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Vice President Jewel Howard Taylor, Mayor, her worship, Mayor Sharon Palacio, I'm so sorry, are true she-for-she's, because they believe in giving women and girls an opportunity to grow, to develop, and to sustain themselves. I thank you all for that. She-for-she is empowering, is supporting others, is uplifting others. It's not being petty, being jealous. It's not being envious of each other. If a woman helped you in your life, it is your moral obligation to help another. We also need to start right in our own homes. I have 3 daughters. One is 20, 17, and 9. And I affirm my girls daily. Daily. Here's a letter that I wrote to my daughter. My dear daughter, do you know how absolutely amazing you are? Do you realize that God has made you in his image? Therefore, you have the power to do and be anything you desire. Stay focused, my love. Your path will be filled with wonderful highs and some devastating lows. But keep your beautiful head up high. Power through the tough times, and I promise you, an abundance of blessings will be waiting for you in the end. Sweet girl, never forget that you're equipped with everything you need to survive in this world. You know your worth, and don't ever compromise your character for any man or woman. Be bold and not forgettable. When you walk into a room, make sure everyone knew you were there. You got this, baby girl. Spread your wings, and off you go. Love, Mommy. This month is, March 8th is International Women's Day. The theme of it is Gender Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow. Hashtag, do we know the hashtag? Break the bias. So something I do every time I talk, I just love to get selfies and videos and whatnot, so I'm going to do this with you all. So the pose for Women's Day is this. Can I see everybody go this way? All right? And then I'm going to count to 3, and then you're going to say, as strong as you can, break the bias. And then I'm going to post it on her page. All right, are you guys ready? All right, hold on, here we go. Because I want to be in this too.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cashel. Just a little reminder, for those of you interested in any of the tour packages, please see your receptionist at the entrance to schedule your adventure tour for tomorrow. Are you guys having fun? Let's give Miss Cashel another round of applause, everyone. I would like to call to the podium Honorable Norway Howard. She's the Deputy Prime Minister of Health. Let's give her a round of applause.
Oh boy, good afternoon. Please allow me to stand on all existing protocols. There's been so many wonderful stories. I'm so proud to be a part of this today. But I want to talk about the importance of being willing and being prepared. So we grew up in a family where our parents had only 6 children. My name is Norwood Howard, and I am the 5th of the 6 children. Our parents were hardworking, middle-class people. My mother was an OBGYN instructor at the local hospital, and my father was an anesthesiologist. They worked very hard. Their only goal was to ensure that we got educated, and I think they did a darn good job. As they got older, the mentoring and the coaching fell to the older sisters. My oldest sister, Sandra, was the forerunner. She was the first to go to the States, and she got 2 masters and came back home and was a part of the government. She was the Minister of Planning at one point in time. And as she got older and too busy with work, the mentoring fell to the sister just before me. So I went through the war because that sister had traveled to the States. She too, after high school and college, had to go to the States to accomplish all the things that she had in her heart. And so she was gone for a while. But she never stopped looking back. The rest of us were still at home. We went through the war, and eventually the war stopped, and we had to find a job. And that's what I did. I worked as a nurse in a local hospital. And then the sister would come home from time to time. And she says, you got to go to the States. So that's what I wanted to do. We tried. And finally I got the visa to go to the States. And when I got to the States, the only thing I wanted to do was to work and make money because I had an opportunity. And she was like, nah, you're going to school. I'm like, what? Going to school? In these United States? Everybody else is having fun and doing what they do, to get money and live their life. She said, no, you have to go and get a master's degree. And at that point in time, I didn't see the importance. But she, being older, has seen a lot more than I had. And she knew what the future would mean without having an advanced degree. So she did all that she could to make sure that I got enrolled into, it was the Marymount University in Virginia, Northern Virginia, where I spent the time still not appreciating the value of a master's degree. I worked part-time, and I went to school, and I went to school, and I worked part-time, and it engulfed me. So after my master's, I realized that jobs were easier to come by. Being a nurse, it wasn't difficult working in the States. But having a master's degree made a difference. And then I started to say, wow, what did she see? How did she know all of this? So my younger sister had already gone to the States, so it was just me. But you would think that I was the youngest because everybody doted on me and they wanted the best for me. And I had something to prove. I had to study hard because tomorrow would come. And so I found myself in leadership roles. I never even imagined how, but I just knew that some people saw something in me, and I continued to excel in my career, being in healthcare leadership and management. So for 16 years in America, I was in leadership positions, and that same sister just kept pushing. In fact, before she left the States, because she too had lived there for a while, she bought a house and she gave me the keys. And she's like, you will stay in this house and you will go to school and you will do this and you will take care of the other ones that are coming from Africa because you are the older one now. And this is what you have to do. And I was like, oh, okay. So we opened the house and we mentored the others that came and helped to prepare them for the future. And I kept saying to myself, God, there's something more that you want me to do. And this is for finding the purpose in your life. I said, there's so many of me here. I said, I want to be able to go back home and help and give back. So show me what you want me to do. And the years went by. And then finally, that sister, after starting her political career, becoming a 2-time senator, she said to me, come home. It's time for you to come home. And I was like, okay. So I went home in 2017, and the president at the time, because she had won the elections, she and her counterpart, the president, and he was like, who's that? She said, that's my sister. He said, give me her resume. And I left my resume. So I went back home to the States, doing what I knew how to do. And by the time the plane landed in 2017, late 2017, the first message I got was from her. She said, you're coming back home. You've been appointed the Deputy Minister of Health. So, ladies and gentlemen, I realize that I've been blessed all my life, but if I hadn't had the right things on my resume, if I hadn't been prepared, I wouldn't have been given this opportunity. So today, I salute the sister who is my mentor, my friend, the shoulders on which I've stood for many years. I can say proudly, because I'm here and I can speak at conferences that she takes me to or that I get invited to, because I was willing and I was prepared. Today, Counselor Dr. Jewel Howard Taylor, I salute you. It was easy for me to have said, that's not what I'm going to do. That's not what I want to do. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't look right. But I listened. And I wanted to make her proud because she had invested so much. Today, I'm so proud to be a part of this forum. As a Deputy Minister of Health, I now have an opportunity to give back in more ways than one to help to structure the healthcare system in Liberia, something that I had no idea that was in my future. All I had to do was to prepare myself and to be willing to do the hard work. So as we walk around and as we meet people and new women, it is important for each and every one of us to take the hand of a young girl to show her that regardless of what you've been through, life can be better, but you must prepare. So as a part of giving back, Madam Jewel Howard Taylor also saw something in me. And she said to me, you know, this foundation, I've worked so many years and you know, we've done so much, but it's not documented anywhere. She said, I need you to come and help me run my foundation. So for almost 5 years, I've been the chairman of the board of the Jewel Starfish Foundation. Our purpose is to mentor young girls and to help them find a future and to be able to give back to the society wherever they find themselves. In my role, we have over 2,000 girls in schools in Liberia, Malawi, Ghana, and soon Sierra Leone. Each one has to ensure that she helps another one so that our girls who are the most at risk, no matter how beautiful a woman is, no matter how bankrupt, no matter how strong, no matter how rich, no matter how successful, she's still at risk for so many things. So every time I see a young girl, I remember it was at one of our Jewel Starfish Foundation mentoring sessions that a young girl came up to me and she said, I've been following you to all these conferences and you're doing so well. I need you to mentor me. And I'm like, what's your name? And she told me her name and I said, come, I'll find you a job. So I tell my friend who owns a new company in Liberia and I said, oh no, I have somebody for you. I have a secretary for you. And so I take Zara, and Zara becomes the secretary there. And every day he will call me and complain, Zara doesn't know this, and Zara. I say, we will train her. So I take the time to train and to mentor Zara. And today, she's still at the company after 1 year. So whatever we do in life, whatever we face, we're stronger than our greatest fears. So I want to encourage each and every one of you, to all our SHE4 champions, keep doing what you do. Never stop, because a girl's life depends on you. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to welcome Dr. Kadojatu Grace Ahini, a woman on a mission to amplify the significance of creativity and leadership. Her organization, Psychology of Winning, was birthed from a place of dissatisfaction to build and transform the minds of the young, to create generational leaders that live on. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Ahini to the podium. Let's give her a warm round of applause, everyone. You may look at the back. You guys can turn around.
Ayo, 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 aye, ayo, ayo. Joel Taylor, we honor you. We honor you. Victoria Suleiman, we honor you. I honor you. Sharon, we honor you. We. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellencies, all protocol observed. I stand here today in great honor to tell the story of a young girl that was born in the early 80s in a small country of 4 million people, 7 million people, in the western coast of Africa called Sierra Leone, a land that God blessed with so much resources, loving and kind-hearted people, but because of poor mental state, we're still crawling. Ladies and gentlemen, the young girl that you're about to hear her story asks you not to feel sorry for her, but to be inspired, to hold, to impact, to inspire, and to motivate every young girl. Why? Because everybody has a story, everybody has a song. Everybody's is just a little bit different. And so today we are gathered here because our story is one. A girl was born by a woman called Lucinda Carter. by a man called Abdurrahman Kamara. As she was born, her father abandoned her 10 months old. She grew up not knowing her father. When they say God has given the story in the Bible of 10 talents, this girl had all of it. She grew up, she was given everything a single mother could possibly give to a child, but she still felt empty, incomplete, curious to know why. What did I do? Where did I go wrong? Why don't I have my father? Why do I go to the best of schools? My friends get picked up by their fathers, but then she had no one. She would beg for a ride from all these ministers' kids, vice presidents' kids, and she was confused. When it came to entertainment, leave it to her. If she's sleeping in the middle of the night, you wake her up, give her the spotlight and a mic, she's good to go. This young girl, as she grew up as confused as she was, as empty, because all she wanted was the love of her father. See, sometimes our mothers will give us all that we need, but we still need you, Pa. We do. And how she wished that she would still have that opportunity. And so when a girl grows up like that, she looks up to who she calls a husband to fill that void. As this girl was 11 plus, there had been war in Sierra Leone. And her mother worked for the Armed Forces Wife Vocational Institute. And the rebels were coming in the city. And so her mom tells her, Yo-Yo, as she calls her, my yours, my forever yours. I don't think I can keep you here anymore. As she sews clothes and put in the famous Ghana must go bag, carry on her head in taxis to sell, make sure that she pays her school fees to the best of private schools. At that time, she could not afford transportation for she and her daughter. And so she sold everything she had, paid the way for her daughter to board on a boat to go seek asylum in a neighboring country, Conakry, Guinea, at the time. And so that day came, she could not go with her. And so she sat her down as she packed her bags and said, I will not always be there to take care of you. I will not always be there to support you. But I think I have trained you good, well enough, wherever you go, try to belong. The people you meet, let them be your people. Above all, be content. Because as a woman, that is all you have, a content mind. What is yours is yours. What is somebody else is somebody else. And so she says, okay, Mommy, I hear you. She could vividly remember that afternoon, 4 p.m., as her mother gives her to a strange man and says, please look after my daughter. My family is in Guinea. They'll be waiting to receive her. Please watch over her. As the night falls, they were on the boat. She was just 12 years old. This man had his way with her. Stuffed clothes in her mouth, leaned her over the rails of this boat, and tells her if she screams, he will throw her over, she will die, and he will come back and kill the mother. as strong as she was, raised by a strong and powerful woman, she got into action mode. It's either I die or shut up and save my life and my mother's life. And it finished. It hurt. It still hurts, she says. But then life must go on. Her dreams and aspirations was to go to the United States, to become like the Mariah Careys, the Michael Jacksons, the Whitney Houstons. But oh boy, life threw blankets. Life gave her lemonade. But guess what? She made a damn good, badass juice out of it. As she got to Guinea, it's sad that our parents don't pay attention. Family members don't pay attention. There you have a bubble, happy-go-lucky child that everybody loved. When she entered the room, it's light. But then you go to receive her at the seaport. She was sad, withdrawn, quiet, broken, but you could not pay attention. You did not see it. How did you miss that? Is it just that because you did not biologically give birth to her, you will overlook the responsibilities of it takes a village to raise a child? Let's not do that. Let my child be yours, and let yours be mine. It is our responsibility. We do not know why God created the globe round. Do not think that because you gave birth to this one, carried her for 9 months, she will be the only one. No, she might not even be there when you need her. It will be somebody else that will uplift you, honor you, respect you as the mother that you ought to be. And so this girl lived in Guinea for 4 years, never said a word. As she went through, she was supposed to travel to the States. At the time, as a refugee, you leave, you have to have an under 18-year-old to travel with you. But then she had to travel with her mom's twin sister's mother-in-law, who was very sick. And this woman, as they were at the airport, she leaned on this little girl's shoulder and she died. The nurse comes and says, "I am sorry, my darling. You cannot travel to the United States of America because your family head is dead." And so she has been so hurt and broken. There was no more emotions. She said to the nurse, "You have to take me to America. I have nowhere else to go." And this nurse said, "The only thing I can do is call the IOM, the immigration office. They will take you to a camp of 4,000 Liberians. And they will start your process all over." And she chose to go. She went. She did all she could. Helped a Liberian lady wash dishes, help her sell food. And so finally her time came. She traveled to the States. She traveled, went to high school, got a scholarship by former Judge Bush because of a poem she wrote, got a 4-year scholarship to go to Grand Canyon University. And so she decided to further her education, got another scholarship for a master's degree. And as she continued, she said, "No, I won't stop." This girl at age 18 became clinically depressed. For those of you that are nurses, she took Prozac. Prozac is a high-end antidepressant drug. When you take it for a period of time, you start going cuckoo. At 25, she wanted to kill herself. She said, if this is life, why don't you take my life already? And so, but God reminded her, I have given you a story. Why don't you write about it? And so her first book became Broken Chains. And then second book. This girl was still going through depression, was physically, mentally, emotionally abused. She had to fight. Became homeless for 3 weeks with a 6-month-old baby. But then one day, she said, enough is enough. I am done feeling sorry for myself. It is not about me anymore. It is about my Lois. That is the name of her daughter. And so, Lois was an inspiration for yours, my yours, to become who she is today. Ladies and gentlemen, that broken girl, that girl that so many people pointed fingers on, that girl that has had 10,000 no's, is standing in front of you today. I am Khadijat Grace Aheni. I am an eagle. I stand in my purpose, not because of me, but because of all of you, but because of my sisters that do not have a voice. I stand to tell you, I stand to ask, as my sister said, ask, knock, seek, doors will be open. I stand to ask that you help me. Give me a listening ear. Give me a platform. Give me an opportunity to heal the heart of the broken, because that is the mandate that God has given me. And I had to go through that refinement to become this. I thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Let's give her another round of applause, everyone. As we are winding down, this is the Women in Solidarity segment. I would like to call my beautiful friend, Miss Opal Enriquez. Miss Opal Enriquez is a native of Orjuel, Belize. She's a graduate of Loma Linda University in the field of cardiopulmonary science and is currently serving on the COVID-19 front line as a worker in a pediatric clinical specialist in the respiratory care. When she takes a break from saving the lives of premature infants, you will find her spreading the word of financial literacy as a licensed insurance agent and financial services professional. Opal recently developed her own line of organic skincare products as an expression of her passion for empowering women through celebrating their confidence and natural beauty. Join me in welcoming Miss Opal Enriquez to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. My goodness, this afternoon has been very emotionally moving. These stories have been so powerful and relatable as well. And one thing I admire about these women, I want to celebrate you for being vulnerable. There's nothing wrong with being vulnerable. See, a lot of times when women are vulnerable, they call us weak, right? There is infinite power in your vulnerability. That's what makes you a woman. So, all protocols. Good afternoon, everyone. Your Excellency, Honorable Dr. Joel Howard Taylor, I am so inspired by the fact that you're here. Mayors, speakers, council members, and visiting guests. And in the spirit of saving the best for last, I greet you, your worship, Sharon Palacio, affectionately known to me as Ate, which in Tagalog, the language of the Philippines, means honored big sister. I listened to the photographer and now press secretary for Her Excellency speak about knocking and asking. And I have to tell you how this relationship with Mayor Sharon and I started. I called her one day and I asked her to recommend a candidate for a Global Leadership Academy for which I was a student. And she asked me 2 questions. She said, what's the age limit? And what are the qualifications? So as an alumni, I said to her, we're looking for leadership experience, community service, and the courage to lead with heart. And there's no age limit. I believe the youngest student in my class was 25, and the oldest was over 60. And Mayor Sharon said to me, after she paused, she said, I know a candidate. And I said, who? She said, myself. So she's now our representative in the Dorothy I. Height Global Leadership Academy, representing our jewel Belize. I also listened to a lot of women talk about mentorship. And I believe I speak for all the younger women here, not only as an entrepreneur, but as an avid student, to tell all of you mentors that we do not take your time for granted. We do listen, we do ask, and we do care about your opinion. And I know Mayor Sharon is an educator, so I understand that later on this evening there will be a quiz and there will be feedback. So she has taken me to task. I also wanted to honor our First Lady in her absence. I'm a mother of a special needs child. And I know what it's like to understand the value of advocacy. We have to continue to be a voice for the voiceless. So we do not take that work for granted as well. So, jumping right into the topic. I looked at it and it said, Women in Solidarity, an Impetus and Sustainable Impact. So we think about the definition of sustainability. That's the ability to maintain at a certain level. And what does sustainability require? Especially for women, because we know the requirements for us are a lot more stringent than they are for men, right? We have to be stronger. We have to be more competent. We have to be more consistent. And we have to be more confident. Otherwise, there is no seat for us at the table. And once you get that seat, you have to fight to keep it every time. So I came up with 3 very simple concepts. I spent many years of my life working in fashion and beauty and pageantry, and one of the things that I teach is poise. My mother always told me, on your saddest day, put on lipstick, and on your brokest day, put on your best clothes, because nobody has to ever know what's behind the scenes, right? My best friend's here. She's a filmmaker, so she understands that well. Poise, grace, elegance, embodied. But what else is poise? Poise is understanding that your margin for error is smaller than a man, almost non-existent. Poise is emotional intelligence. It's the ability to remove yourself from a situation, take a drone eye assessment of what is happening, and holding back. It's not reacting, it's responding. That's poise. Poise, and here comes my financial background, right? The ability to do an accurate and complete cost-benefit analysis. Risk versus gain. Is the immediate gain worth damaging the relationship? I'm here to tell you 9 times out of 10 it's not. So do the work to maintain the relationship. That's poise. Poise is spending 10 seconds on the problem and 10 hours on the solution. Do the work. Find out what works best for everyone. And then you can execute. Peace is my next concept. We all talk about world peace, right? 5 years, 5 crowns, 5 pageants. Every beauty queen wants world peace. Peace over war. Inner peace. One of the thought leaders that I follow is SHE4. And in an interview that he did, he said that he studied to become a monk. And the test that he had to pass was to meditate on a busy train at a busy time in a busy city. And of course, he thought it was ridiculous. But when he went back to his instructor, almost insulted, and said, "Why are you asking me to do this?" His instructor said, "Inner peace is finding true peace in the middle of chaos." As a leader, as a woman, we have to do that. You have to be able to find the silent moment when everything else is going crazy. So someone asked about bad press earlier. Bad press is good press, because you have to be able to take the criticism if you're going to receive the compliments, because they're equally as important. It is the criticism that redirects you into the place that you need to be. Because I myself believe that there's truth in everything. There's truth in the validation, but there's also truth in the concern that you're not executing the way you're supposed to. So just like my ballet instructor used to tell me, whenever I give a correction, I'm not only speaking to the person I'm correcting, I'm speaking to you too. So if I'm telling her her arm is not placed properly, check your own. Very important. True leaders, I read somewhere, and I cannot credit the author, it said true leaders and successful people, they reevaluate and reassess themselves every 30 minutes. Not just every day, not just every New Year, not just every birthday or every 6 months. Every 30 minutes. So watch. Everybody's looking around saying, am I sitting right? Is my hair right? Did I speak well? Right? And the last concept I speak about is how to pivot. Because sometimes you feel like you're an epic failure, right? And if we're women, so we are our own worst critics. And it's okay sometimes to be your own worst critic. But you know when it becomes a problem? When you become the worst critic of somebody else. We cannot attack each other. We have to uplift each other. So something like a SHE4 champion is so important, because it's so nice to see women to come together, to adjust each other's crowns, to fix each other's clothes, to say, sister, I'm here for you. So we're going to recap because we've, running a little over schedule and everybody has to go get ready for the gala, right? We've survived the plague. We've survived the hurricane. We've survived the Holocaust. We've survived COVID. So don't think that we're not going to survive the gossip that you talk about us. Yes, we will. Poise. Stand your ground and have strength in your conviction. Remove yourself from the situation. That's step 2. Step 3 is find peace. Once you're in alignment with your own goals and with God above, nothing can stop you. And 4, learn to pivot. Sometimes you have to change directions. Sometimes God will lead you in a direction on a road you never thought you would go down. Accept the process and move with the current, because it will lead you to exactly where you need to be. Accept the lessons, apply them, and step into your greatness. So I asked my friend drummer here to share my dance background with me, and we're going to do a little dance called the Poise Peace Pivot. So everybody get ready, my friend? You got the beat? All right, here we go. So what I say, step one, right? Lesson one, poise. Step four, stand in your conviction and be confident in who you are. Step two, one step to the side. Take yourself out of the situation. Drone eye view of what is happening. And three, find your inner peace and act in the best interest of everybody. And then pivot. And sometimes pivot means, I don't want to hear what you have to say. God has told me something else. So go ahead and kiss my hand. Right? So here we go. 1, 2, and 3, pivot. Let me see you do it. Everybody. 1, step to the side. And 3, and pivot. You got the beat? Here we go. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, and 3, pivot. 1, 2, and 3, pivot. I don't see you dancing. Ready? Come on, I need some accompaniments. Ready, ladies? See, you always got your sisters to back you up. I know you need to move. Everybody enjoyed that good chicken, so you got to work it off. Let's go. 5, 6, 7. Come on, Mayor. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, and 3. Pivot. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, and 3. Pivot. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, and 3. Pivot. All right. Thank you. Enjoy our beautiful Belize.
I got so excited that I forgot I have a job to do. Okay, we're coming to the closing. Before we close, I would like to call Mr. Palacio. Let's give him a round of applause, everyone.
Thank you very much, and I'm very happy to be a part of this successful journey. And my job here is now as artist, and I designed this piece together with some other people as well, including people at City Hall for this occasion. I wouldn't have made this place if there was no SHE4 in mind. And this is the piece that I conceptualized to represent the SHE4 and the passing of the baton. So, thank you. It's made from a Belizean hardwood, and as you can see, an older woman is passing on the baton to a younger woman over here. And as you can also see, she stands on a foundation that is textured, that is colorful, that is invigorating. So the future is safe with the next generation because of the mentoring that was done by all you wonderful, awesome women. So this will go from country to country, and I like to beg. I want to beg one thing. Before the next SHE4, or like a week or so before, I'd like to be invited to whatever country it is to do the polishing of it. Because I don't want anybody touching it and don't know exactly what there's no varnish on it. So it's a natural wax finish. And to make you look beautiful, like you beautiful women, I would want to be like a day before to do another polishing next year in Liberia. So I call now on Mayor Palacio and the Vice President of Liberia to come forward, the next host for the next SHE4 Champion Summit in Liberia, to which you are all invited to attend.
Well said. With that said, we had discussed, and we know that 2023 is Liberia, and 2024 just stepped in Ghana. No, it's Ghana. So today we are one family. We have shared, we have listened, we have grown together. As we move forward, life will never be the same again. The added dimensions we have attained will propel a greater collective response to the growth and development of women and girls. To all of you, I say, long live the SHE4 unstoppable movement. Thank you to all our guest speakers, Biltmore City Council staff, the Biltmore Hotel, all our contributors and supporters. We are successful because of you. We have been successful because of you. That's a part of what women do.
That's something that will outlive all of us. Thank you.
We are successful because of you. We have been successful because of you. And we will continue to be successful because of you. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah May.
And then please welcome Ibrahim Abdullah. He's the guy who stepped in from Ghana, African Citizens Council.
We thank you for accepting this on behalf of Belize, Madame.
I want to thank the Lord Mayor. I like that name. The Lord Mayor, Sharon Palacio, for this awesome responsibility, because it is awesome indeed. A year from today, we should be in Monrovia, Liberia. Do you guys agree? I want to thank Mr. Palacio for creating this brilliant symbol of what our work entails. Reaching out, pulling someone else up, holding together, making a difference, being change makers in our generation. Thank you so much. And definitely you will come to Monrovia. We don't want anything to scratch this amazing artwork. I'm going to package it properly and hold it so that it doesn't get broken or scratched. And next year, I promise to give it back in the same shape that I've received it. And we'll take it to where? Ghana and then Sierra Leone. So we look forward to 2023 in Monrovia, Liberia, 2024 Accra, Ghana, 2025 Freetown, Sierra Leone. Thank you. Thank you, Sharon. Wow. So you want to come? Let's do a picture.
We also want to take a minute to welcome Ibrahim Abdullah from the African Cities Council. We thank you for joining us as a he for she this afternoon. Please give him a round of applause. Councillor Hope, could you please come forward? Madam, on behalf of Mayor Sharon Palacio, we would like to present you with this gift
as a token of our appreciation for taking the time out of your schedule to visit us here in Belize to present in the first ever SHE4 Champions World Summit. We salute you and we thank you. Yes, can you please come forward, all of our special invited speakers for today, as we wrap up in preparation for this evening's event, as we have to clear the room. Thank you, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you at this evening's event.